Have you ever filled out a form online and wondered how they catch your mistakes so quickly? Or ever wanted to build user friendly and error proof forms for your websites or applications? Yes, today we are going to reveal the magic behind it. Hi, hello guys. This is Sharachandar K. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, we will create our own form validation from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Without wasting your time, let's dive into a quick demo. In this demo, I am going to explain a powerful form validation system that ensures user inputs are accurate, complete and secure. Imagine creating a form that instantly tell users if they have filled it out correctly with error messages and all. Whether you are collecting user information, processing orders or managing user accounts. This skill is a must-have for any developer. Each form field on the validation tool will check if the fields are null or not. Here we have created a create user accounts with 4 fields. First field is full name, email, password and confirm password. If I refresh, we will get a fresh form. If I hit submit, now we will get the error message, please enter your name. So if I hit this, you can able to see the animation over here. So user can able to identify where the error message is showing on the field. So if I hit again, now you can see the animation over here and I will type something, test user, and I hit tab or navigate to the next input. It will automatically check, validate and set the response to the input box, and then we'll go to the email. If I hit tab, it will show please enter your email address. So if I type something, hit tab again, now you can see please enter a valid email address. Previously it was please enter your email address, now it was valid email address. So I will type valid mail address at mail.com and it will automatically validate, and then password should be 12345 and here I will enter 1234 and I hit submit. We are getting the error with the animation. So the error message is now password and confirm not match. So we need to enter the same as above. So if I hit the same and now will hit submit, now all the fields as valid and we will get the form response. Here we have entered the following details. Full name is test user and email address is test@mail.com. So if I hit OK, we will get the create confirmation message with the validation check, and in the below response message should be form submit successfully. But we are not stopping here. I will explain every line of code so you truly understand how this works. By the end of this tutorial, you will have a powerful user form with validation. That's all for the demo. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Make sure to subscribe for more coding tutorial and tech content. Let's build our own. Here I have already created a project folder name called form validation. Let me open this into my favorite code editor, Visual Studio Code. I will drag this directory into a Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code will automatically load all the files into the directory. So here I have already created a index.html, style.css and script.js. If you want this empty project structure, I have already added a GitHub repo into the description. Please do check it out, clone and start developing the project with me, and we'll start adding the HTML elements into the index.html. For that we have a embed abbreviation. We'll type exclamation mark and hit enter. It will automatically create a HTML boilerplate, and then we'll change the title to JavaScript form validation by Sharachandar K, and then we'll link other two files into the HTML. For that we will link the style.css into the header tag. For that we have a embed abbreviation link colon css. If I hit, it will automatically create a link tag with the href of style.css. A link tag defines the relationship between current document and an external resource, and then we'll link the script.js into the body. For that we have another embed abbreviation with script colon src. If I hit, it will automatically create a source attribute with empty value. We need to set the value of the source attribute, that is script.js. Script tag is used to embed a client side script, or it points to an external script file through the source attribute. and then we'll start adding the HTML element into the body. Body element contains all the content of an HTML document. So for that, we'll create a div with the class attribute. For that, we have a embed abbreviation dot container. If I hit enter, it will create a div tag with class attribute with the value of container. And then I will hit enter. Inside that, we are going to add the form. Form element is a container for different type of input elements. For that, we'll add a form tag with the ID of create account form. And then inside this, we are going to add the s2 element. S2 tag are used to define HTML headings. So here we are going to mention a heading create user account, and then we'll add the form controls. So for that, we are going to add another div with form control, and inside this we are going to add the label with the full name. I will type asterisk. Asterisk defines these fields is mandatory to type. So then we'll add the input with text. Input tag specifies an input field where the user can enter data. If I hit enter, it will create a input tag with name and ID. We need to set the name for full name and ID also same. So if I save this, now let us see our HTML file in action. So for that, in the Visual Studio Code, we have a extension called Go Live. If I click this, it will automatically open the our current HTML document into the default browser. What is live server? Generally, when we make any changes into our code, to see those changes, we need to manually refresh the page. For this, Visual Studio Code come into the picture. It will automatically refresh whenever we change or we modified or we save something into our code. It will automatically affected through the server. This is how the live server will work. And then I will add the next form control. So that I will copy this, I will paste it, and this as email. So input type text, this should be email, ID also email, and then if I save, now you can able to see the changes automatically without refreshing the page. And I will add another two form control with the password and confirm password. Password and confirm password. So this one name as password 1, and I will change the ID to for this password 2, and then ID also password 2. If I save, now you can see the changes over here, and then we'll add the button to it. For that, we'll add another div with the form button. Hit enter, it will create a div. Inside that, we are going to add the button with submit. Button tag defines a clickable event button. If I save, now you can see the submit button too. So now we'll jump into the style.css to style this form. So here I will type asterisk. Asterisk is an wildcard that means all element. I will add the margin 0 px for all element, and then padding 0 px, and then font family should be Poppins, and then I will add a secondary font family should be sans serif, box sizing border box. Now if I save, now you can able to see all the elements margin padding set to 0. That is how the asterisk will work. And I will paste the import URL with the Google fonts for the Poppins. Now if I save, now you can see the font style with Poppins. So then we'll add the styles to the body. For that, I will add a background color of blue color. If I save, now you can see this. Now we are going to set this form into the center of the screen. I have already added a video how to center a div for easy methods. I have added the link in the description. Please do check it out. For that, we are going to set the min height of 100 VH. VH is an viewport height, and then we'll set display flags, and then align item center. Justify content should be center. Now if I save, now you can see the form element into the center of the screen, and then we'll style the form. For that, I will go to the HTML, and we added the styles to the body, and then we are going to set the styles to the container. So if I set directly to the div, it will applicable to all the divs. For that, only we need to set this outer div. For that, the class is there. So previous was body, so we are not using any of the class element because the body element is directly reachable with the element name. Now we are going to set as a particular div element. For that, we have a class with dot container. If I set this, now this will be applicable for that particular container. Now you can see the styles to that particular container. So for that, we'll added a background already with the white color, and I will set the inner spacing of 15 px, and then border radius should be 10 px, and then width of 500 px. Now if I save, now you can see the changes for the container. We'll set the styles to the header. As I said earlier, if it is a HTML element, it will be reachable with the element name. If I set the styles to the h2, it will automatically add this. Now you can see the h2 tag into the center of the container. Now we'll add the styles to the each element. So for that, if I jump into the HTML, we are going to set the styles to the each element. So for that, common thing is form control. I need to set all the 4 elements into the same style. So for that, I will copy this form control, and I will go here, added the class name, and I need to set the display flags. These two fields inside the div into the center of the form control. So for that, I will add the display flags with place content space between. So we are going to set the space in between on this. We'll set the gap of 10 px, and then inner sizing should be padding 10 px, and then align item should be center position relative. If I save, now you can see the styles applicable to all the elements. So now we'll add the styles to the label. So here the space is fully occupied for 50% of the label and 50% on the input. So for that, I will change the width of label with the use of form control, and I will set to width of 40%. Now if I save, nothing will happen. We are going to set the next thing for the input element. So for that, again same form control with input. Inside that, I'm going to add the styles, and then we have a width of balance 60% for that, because we have added a width of 40 for the label and then 60 for that input. Height of 40 px, and then border 2 px solid with little gray color, and then inner spacing of padding should be 10 px. We'll add the font size 16 px, and then border radius 5 px. If I save, now you can see this label as 40, and then this input as 60% of the width. Select the input box. The black border is there. For that, I'm going to remove the black border here. We'll have a form control input colon focus. Whenever we have focus, then only we are getting that black color, right? So for that, I will set the outline of none, and then border color light gray color. If I save, now if we focus, that dark black color we change to the light gray color. Now we'll add the styles to the button. So for that, so if I go to the HTML, we'll add the form button div. Inside that button div, inside the class, we are going to set the button center of that entire div. So I will set this text align center, and then inner spacing of padding 15 px. Now if I save, now you can see the button into the center of the div, and then we'll add the form button with the button, and then I will add the height of 40 px, width of 100%, and then cursor should be pointer. We'll set the outer margin top space for 10 px, then we'll set the background of light blue color again, and then border radius 5 px, and we'll remove the border with the help of border none. If I save, now you can see this. We have designed the form. Now we are going to add the declarations into the script. For that, I will go to the script.js. So here we are going to declare the each elements into the form. We have a option to do the declaration with the document. So what is document? Document is an object represent your web page. I will add the console.log document. If I go to the incept element, so here you can see the log in the console. The document object is the owner of all other objects in your web page. If you want to access any element in an HTML page, you are always start with accessing the document object. With the use of document, we are going to add the declarations. For that, I will add the const. With the help of this, we are going to start declaring the elements. First, I will take the form control. I will add this const with, as I said, document is a owner of all element in a web page document dot get element by ID. What is this get element by ID? The get element by ID is the easiest way to find an HTML element in the DOM by using an element ID. If you want more related to DOM or document, let me know in the comment. I will add a new course on that. So then we'll add the next declaration with full name with the same document dot get element by ID. Again, I will go to HTML and copy the email ID and will create the document dot get element by ID with email and then password. So I will change this case sensitivity. So all the fields should be same. So I will add the password one with document dot get element by ID of password one. As we know, this is password 2 with the help of document dot get element by ID. We'll change this to password 2. These are all the declarations we have in the form field. So then we'll add the functions. Function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. For that, we are going to create a function with keyword function with the value of check full name. The function is executed when someone invokes or call it. I will add another function with the keyword function check email. I will add another function with check password 1, another function check password 2. And then for this, we are going to add another function name called ValidateForm. These are the function declarations we have. So this function is executed when someone calls or invoke it. As I said, we need to invoke this function. For that, whenever we are going to click the submit, then only we are going to check those fields are empty or null. We are going to show the error message on that. So for that, we are going to add the event to the button. We have already created a form declaration. With the help of this, we'll add the add event listener. With the add event listener, we'll add the submit. Whenever we click this button, we'll fire this add event listener event. It will submit the form, and here we have the function lambda expression. Inside that, we are going to set e dot prevent default. What is this e dot prevent default? So if I remove this, if I submit, so now you can see the page reload here. If I submit, it will reload the page. So for that, we need to prevent the page. So if I save, if I submit, it will not reload the page. That is how the prevent default will work. So here we are going to invoke this validate form. Inside this validate form, we are going to do the functionality to check the fields is null or not. So I will go here. Inside this, I'm going to check full name function. I will add the function name directly to the if condition. So if I save, nothing will happen. So I need to jump to the check full name method. Inside this, we are going to add the another const declaration with full name dot value. This will get the value of that current input field. So if I console.log, now you can able to see the value. So if I hit submit, we have changed this, but we have not saved. So if I save this, now we'll get the value because we can't able to see. Now this is null. So if I type something, if I hit submit, now you can get the value of this. So if I enter space and if I submit, this also error, right? Because you need to enter any of the values here without empty space. For that, we'll trim this. We have a trim option. If I save, if I submit, now it will remove the space. This is how the trim will work. So here we are going to check if this name is entered or not. For that, I will add a if condition. With the help of, we are checking if this full name value null, we are going to show the error message. Console.log, please enter your full name, and we need to return false. Why? Because we are checking the if what the form returns, if it is true or false. Based on that, we are going to manipulate the values and will show the result over here with the help of alert. So for now, I will add a valid. Now if I hit, please enter your full name. So if I type something, if I hit submit, nothing will happen because we have written false only. Return the true to. Once this condition satisfied. For that, if this value is present, here we need to return true. So if I save, if I go and submit here, now we will get please enter your full name. If I type something, if I hit, now we will get the alert message with valid. Before that, we are going to add the image, and this message we need to show below the text box. Then only user able to understand which form field has error and what user need to enter. So for that, we'll add the error message below the text box and we'll set images to this. So for that, I will go to the index.html and I will add image tag here with the help of a source image and then cross. Image tag is used to embed an image into an HTML page. Now if I save, now you can see the images into the HTML page, and then we'll add the small element inside the value of please enter your name. This value should be dynamic, will change into the script. For now we are going to add the styles to it. For that I will jump into the style.css, and here already we have a form control and we'll add the image. For this we are going to set that image height of 30 px. If I save, now you can see the image here and the error message next to the image. So we need to set this image inside the text box and we need to place this error message below the text box. So for that we'll add the styles to that. We'll add the position absolute. So now this will jump to here because we have set the position as absolute. We'll set top of 20 px, and then I will change the position of right should be 20 px. So if I save, now we can see this into the right hand side. So the same thing we are going to add for the small element. Form control with the element name, and we'll set position with absolute. If I save, you can see the position is absolute inside the div, and then we are going to set this at the bottom of the input tag, right? So I will set the bottom of 5 px. Now you can able to see it is jumped to the -5 of bottom, and then we'll set right of 0 px. So now it went to the right side, and then we'll set left 40 percentage. We have already added a 60 percentage of this width. I will set these things to 40%. Now if I save, now you can able to see it was merged. So for that I will add this 42 percentage and I save. Now you can see the cross symbol into the right hand side of the text box, and the error is placed below the text box. So this error message and this cross symbol as dynamic based on the user input. So the same thing we're going to add for another input fields too. So I will go here and I will copy this and I will paste it here for each form control. So now if I save, now you can able to see all the values. So for that I will add the color to red. So now you can able to see the red color of error message. Now as I already said, this error message and image is dynamic. For the styling purpose we have added this value. So now I will remove the values to the each input. For now I will add the empty elements into the form control. So now if I save, you can't able to see the error message as well as that cross symbol. So whenever user entered, we are going to show the error message, right? For that I will jump into the script.js. Here as I said earlier, this message should show below the text box. For that I will create one more const declaration, the value of set success error messages, right, with the input, because we are going to set this particular input and then with the message value. So inside this we are going to set this message for each input. So for that I will add one more const declaration with form control. So what is form control? We are going to get this input first. So we'll check what the input is. Console.log input. So for now I will make use of this. I will jump into the, instead of this I will change this to set error message. The first parameter is input. For that we have already added the input to this full name. Now if I save, if I go to the output and if I hit submit, now you can able to see the input of the full name because we are sending the input to this set success error message function. So here this is the input. If I send these things to email, if I save, now if I submit, now you will get the email. Now you can able to see the pop over to identify where this input is placed. So for now, we are going to add this full name. So if I hit submit, now we will get this input value. What we are going to do with the help of this input. So for that, with the input, we are going to set the error message to it, right? And then crash message. So for that, with the use of input, we are going to get the parent element. What is the parent element? If I hit submit, nothing will happen because this is input, and now we are going to get the form control. What is parent element of the input? If I go to the HTML, now this is the input of full name, it was placed, and this is a child, and here the top, this is the parent of this particular input, and the form control, this is a child, and this is the parent of form control. This is how the DOM tree will work. If you want, let me know. I will create a clear DOM course for you. So now if I jump to the script, I will change this input to form control. If I save, now if I hit submit, now you can able to see the entire form control of that particular full name. If I change this full name to email, if I save, if I hit submit, now you can see the form control of email. This is how the DOM tree will work. So I will change these things to full name, and then inside the set error message, I will remove this. So now we have the form control, right? So if I hit submit, now we have the form control. Inside the form control, we have the image attribute as well as the small attribute. We need to set the values to this particular element whenever we get the error on this. So for that, we have a option to check that. So if first we'll check if the message is present or not. If the message is present, remove the values. For that, I will form control dot query selector. So if I add a console dot log. So now if I hit submit, now you can able to see the image here with the popover. If I over this, now where the image is placed, you can able to see in the HTML file. So with the help of this, we can able to get the small element too. So if I save, now this is the image, this is the small element. So with the help of this query selector, we are going to set the values to this particular element. So for that, if the error message double equal to null, so we will remove these values. So for that, we'll set the attribute. Set attribute. We have a another property of set attribute. This will help us to set the values. So we are going to set the source for the image. If it is valid, we are going to show the mock.png and the small element dot inner text, because this is a small element. So for that, it will be reachable with the inner text. So the same thing I will copy here and I will paste it in the else condition. So if the error message is missed, so we are going to show the cross png with the message what we are passing from that particular function. Now if I save, now if I hit submit, okay, here, sorry, this was images. The folder name is images. If I save, if I hit submit, now you can able to see this. If I type something, now this is valid. Now if I hit submit, it is valid, but it was not changed because in the else part we have not set this const function. So for that, I will remove the message to null. So if it is valid, we are going to set the validation check. So if it is null, if I hit submit, now we will get the error message with the cross image. This will identify the user. This field is important with what they need to do with this current field. The same thing we need to do for others. So I will copy the same thing to other fields too, and we'll change the IDs like email dot value, and instead of full name value, we'll change the email. I will change here email and email. Please enter your email address, and then this one as password one dot value. We'll trim this too, and I will copy this, and then this one as password one, and same thing for null values. Here we'll add please enter your password, and then here this was password 2 value. I will change this. Please enter your confirm password. Now if I save, if I hit submit, now you will get this. I will add test. If I hit submit, now we will get valid because in the validate form we have checked with one particular function. So we need to check for other function too. For that we'll add the uncondition. This uncondition will check all the function values. So for that we have already added a full name. Now we'll add the check email address and we'll check password and check password too. So now if I save and hit submit, now it will pop the error message to the full name. I will add the error message and I will hit submit. Now this is fine. This is valid and I need to add the email address, and if I hit tab, still the error is placed. So first we'll check all the error messages. It was showing correctly and we'll submit. Now the form is valid. Now if I refresh, if I hit submit, it will show the error message, and then if I navigate to the next text box, so the still the error is popped because I have entered the values. And why this error message is still popped, I will went to the next element. Once we hit submit, then only this check is happening. So instead of that, we are going to add the method to this particular element. So for this, I will jump into the index.html. We have a method called blur. Blur is used to remove focus from a text input. So for that, we'll have a onBlur method and we'll directly call this check full name. So if I save, now I came here and I will hit submit. Now we'll have this error message. If I type something, if I jump into the next text box, so if I hit here, see now the error message is gone because of this blur. We are losing the focus from this input box. That time will fire the function. So if I remove this, if I jump to the next text box, now it will show the error message. So the same thing we need to do for others. So the same thing on blur with the help of check email, and then on blur with the help of check password 1, and then on blur with the help of check password 2. Now if I save, if I refresh here, now if I jump to the each text box, now you will get all the error message. If I type something, now it will clear all the error message. If I submit, we will get the validate message. If I type something invalid, see the full name is we are typing some number. The email ID is invalid. So we need to check this particular check for each input. So I will go to the script.js. So for your understanding, I will create a each function. So we can build this inside the validation form. If you are a beginner, you need to learn how this each function is working. So only I split it and I've added the validation check for each inputs. So if I add all those things into this validation form, it will be confused and you will not get the clarity how this is working. So only I have a split at this as a each function and I am trying to explain how this is working. So now, as I said, we have entered some irrelevant full name. So we need to check this. So for that, I will jump into the check full name function, and here once user entered the value, then only we need to check that. So for that, we'll have a amazing regex format. If you want what is regex and how we are validating, let me know in the command. I will create a separate course on regex. So I will add the regex array here. This will allow only the small alphabetical letter and capital alphabetical letter. With the help of this, we are going to check the full name. So for this, I will add the if condition with regex dot test. What is test here? Test is a boolean value that returns whenever we indicate the patterns in the search string. So it will indicate boolean flag with the search string whatever we are passed. So for that, we are going to pass the full name dot value. If this pattern is matched, it will return true, else it will return false. If it is true, we are going to set the message again invalid. Please enter a valid name. Right. If I save, now if I type something, if I hit submit, okay, because this has not set it in the else condition. So we need to set this in the else condition. So now if I save here, if I jump, if I type some 1, 2, 3 till it was paused. Why? Because we are checked for true. Once it is false, then only we are going to show this error message, right? For that, we'll add a triple equal to false. If I save, If I type something, before typing, if I hit, it will return a error message. Please enter your full name. If I type something and I hit submit, now the error message is changed. Please enter a valid name. So here we can mention this triple equal to false, or we can set this not of regex text. So it will work as same as before. So if I hit submit, it will throw the error message. Please enter your full name. And if I type something, and it will return a please enter a valid name. So this is how the regex will come into the picture, and the same thing will add for email and then password and confirm password. For the email, if I type something and now it is valid because this is not a valid email, right? We are going to add a valid email only like as name. So for that we have another regex array. So the same thing, I will go to the else part, let regex equal to, this will check the pattern of what is the main thing in the email. This is how the pattern for regex. The same thing will check not of regex dot test with the email value. Else we are going to send the true value, and if it is false, I will copy this and I will set here. Please enter a valid email address. Now if I save, if I submit, it will ask the message, and if I jump here, now please enter your email address. Now if I type test, if I jump to the next text box, it will throw a error message, please enter a valid email address. So for that we need to add hut with .com. This is how the regex pattern will work. So then we'll go to the password. So for example, if I type 12345 and I will type 1234, this is not same, right? Password and confirm password. This is why we are going to add two text box to get the correct password from the user. So for that, in the check password one, we are not going to do anything. In the confirm password, we are going to check the validation check for the password and confirm password is same or not. So this is the easiest one. So we can go in the confirm password and we'll get the password one dot value. We'll check not equal to password two dot value, and will throw the error message. Else will return the true and will set the error message as. For that, here in the password 2 only we are going to set for that, and will change password and confirm password not match. So if I save, now if I jump to here and I tab it, now we'll get all the error message. I will type 12345 and I will type 123. Now this error message is too long, so I will change 123 and 1112. So now it will be fit to into the text box. So instead of that password and confirm, we can define password and confirm not match. So for that 123 and 12 and password and confirm not match. If I type the same value, now we will get the verification check over here. So then user has entered all the values, right? We need to get the confirmation message. For that, I will go here in the validate form. Here we need to get what the user entered, and we are going to get the confirmation. For that, we'll add the data preview of message or lot data preview. Here you are entered the following details / with n, it will be help to add the string into the new line. So then we'll add the full name. For that we can able to reach the full name value, full name dot value. Then again we'll add a new line, and email address should be email dot value. If I save, now I will go here, I will type test user and email address test at mail.com 12345 and 12345. If I hit submit, now you can able to get the details. You have entered the following details. Full name is test user and email address is test at mail.com. If I hit OK, this form should be clear and we will get the confirmation check to here. So for that, I will go to the index.html. Here we are going to add another div with ID of confirmation. So if I hit, it will create a div with the ID attribute with the value of confirmation. And then inside this, we are going to add the header tag with the value of create confirmation. And then we'll add the image source with images slash mock.png, and then we'll add the paragraph tag to inform the user form submitted successfully. Now if I save, now we can able to see both the containers in a single view. For that we are going to add the designs to it. So simply I will go to the style.css and will add the asterisk with ID of confirmation. We can able to add the styles with the help of ID2. So we need to use that asterisk. If it is a confirmation, we'll set the text align center, and then padding inner space should be 10 px, and then color should be green. So if I save, now you can see this, and we'll fix the image. Again, ID of confirmation with image height of 250 px. Now if I save, now it will fit into the div. For now, we are going to set the display none to this particular div. For that, we'll have a option with display none. So if I add this, now we can't able to see into the HTML. So whenever we submit, then only we are going to show that. For that, I will jump into the script.js. Before that, I will add a declaration to it. Confirmation equal to document dot get element by ID with confirmation. If I save with the use of this declaration, I will go here after the allot. We'll already have a create form with, we are going to set the attribute of this form. Whenever we submit, we are going to hide this and we need to show that. For that, we are going to set attribute with the help of style display none. Whenever we set display none, it will be hide from the HTML. Then we are going to show that confirmation message. For that, we have a another option with the same style with display block. Now if I save, if I'll go to here, I will type test user and user at mail.com 12345 12345, because this is a password fields, right? Because user no need to see this while entering. For that, I will go to the index.html. So here in the input, we have a password type. So if I change these things to password, now test user and then user at mail.com, and now you can't able to see the values. Why I set this previously for text? We need to understand this functionality. So only I have previously set this elements to text. Now the functionality is completed. Now I change to the password. Now if I type the same password above, if I click submit, now we'll get the form confirmation. If I say okay, see, we'll get the create confirmation with the form submitted successfully. And now again we are going to add the new form. For that we need to refresh the page. And what else missed? The animation. Right, now we are going to add the animation to it. Whenever user click this, we need to add the animation. So for that, I will add the animations to the text box with the help of animation styles over here. For that, whenever user clicks submit, we are going to set this input as error. So for that, we'll add a error with animation. We have a property of animation with shake. What is this shake? This shake we are going to create next. So 0.2 second, erase in and out, 0 seconds, and again the 2 seconds. So what is this shake? This shake we are going to add as a keyframes. This is the keyframes. It will help us to add the animation to it. So I will add the keyframe of 0 percentage. So whenever it will be 0 percentage, what we are going to do? We need to shake this input element, right? For that, we'll add the margin left 0 rem. So if I submit, it will not work. I will add the other keyframes to 25 percentage and then 75 percentage and then 100 percentage. So whenever we submit, we need to set the margin right to 0 em. So it will shake like this to right and left to right. So now we'll add the margin right over here. Margin right of 0.5 rem. This would be not more shake, it will be slight shake. So I have added a 0.5, and again I will add the margin right with minus 0.5, because this should, whenever it is 75, it should be minus 0.5, and then again we'll set the margin left to 0. This should be shake and this should be stop here. So whenever it submit, nothing will happen because we have created the error class, but we have not yet assigned to this. So for that, I will jump into the script.js. We are going to set this error message. That is very easy. For that, we have already segregated the functions with set error messages. So for that, whenever it was error, we have the input to separately. So with the help of this, whatever the future implementation, we are going to implement easily. So I will add the input.set attribute with the help of class and the value of error. Now if I hit submit, now you can able to see. If I hit again, I can't able to see the shake animation here. Why? What happened? I will go here and I will check insert here. So why? Because we have already added the error to the input class. So if I remove, if I submit again, now you can see this. Again it was added. We are not removed it. So for that, we'll remove this error within the time frame. So for that, we'll have a set timeout with the function of input dot set attribute class null. This will happen after 1 second. So now if I save, if I go here, if I hit submit, now you can able to see the shake animation all the time. So now I will jump to the each text box. It was applicable because we have segregated the method. Inside the method added the error class. Each input it will be applicable with the help of set success error message. So I will jump each value. Whenever click, it will applicable. So I will add the user test and test at mail.com, and then password of 12345 123, and this will not match that time also it will shake the animation, and then 12345, and I will hit submit. Now you can get the form response. It okay. Now we will get the create confirmation with the check mark icon and with the value of form submitted successfully. If you are very much interested on JavaScript project, I have already added a playlist JavaScript beginner to advanced. I have added the link in the description. Please do check it out. That's all for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep coding and keep learning. See you in the next video. Happy coding. Bye for now. Have a nice day.